everyone, and welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. Today I have another graphic novel review for you, and that is for Batman Year One by Frank Miller. This is actually the first Batman comic that I have ever read. I've been, of course, familiar with Batman for many years. I grew up loving the Dark Knight trilogy. I also have played the Batman Arkham games quite a lot, and things like that, but I've never gotten into the comics necessarily, and that's kind of the same way for a lot of these superheroes, whether they be Marvel or DC. I've read a few here and there, but I've never really gotten that much into comics. And recently I've been trying to do that a little bit more, and so this is the kind of my first exposure into DC comics in general, I think, and specifically for Batman as well, and I hope to continue getting more into those, as well as some Marvel comics and things like that. And I was looking into what would be some good starting points for Batman, because even though, I'm aware of the character and everything like that, I don't want to just jump into something without not really knowing what is a good starting point, and this is one that I heard pointed out quite a lot because it's a very iconic story. It was written by Frank Miller, who is a name that I've heard over and over and over again over the years as one of the greatest comic writers that ever lived, and things of that nature. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this graphic novel. Definitely, I think, was a good starting point because for me, it captured a lot of what I'm familiar with about Batman and the characters of that story, but it also it presented them in a way that was both really interesting and also kind of did a nice job of capturing a lot of what is familiar to me about this kind of story of like Batman starting and things like that, while also kind of doing a little bit of something to set itself apart from other interpretations of Batman's early career from what I've seen. So I think the thing that I liked the most about this, well, first of all, I gotta mention the art is really good all the way through. And I just got to mention that because it's good, and that's pretty much that. I can't remember the name of the artist who did this off the top of my head, but whoever did it did a great job. I also, the thing that I liked the most about this, I think, was the character work of this graphic novel, which kind of has a few different facets to it. There's like the actual portrayal of the characters, which to me, in terms of to me, of the Batman media that I have consumed, which is not very much, like I said, the Nolan movies, the Arkham video games, a few other things here and there, some of the animated movies, a little bit of animated series type stuff. And from what I am aware of being, the Batman mythos, if you will, the way these characters are written feels very quintessentially Batman to me, and that's something I really appreciated about it, because it kind of made it a little easier for me to get into, and I could very easily envision, the Batman of, say, the Arkham video games, or the Jim Gordon of the Arkham video games, or the animated movies, or whatever it may be, kind of, fitting very well into this. And I really enjoyed that, and I really liked the way they were portrayed in this graphic novel. This predominantly focuses on Bruce Wayne, or Batman, as well as Jim Gordon. And I really liked the way that they were done, and the way that the dialogue and the text was written, like it would be written differently depending on whose character's head you were in, which is something I really liked about it as well in terms of presentation. It was nice to kind of have that, when I would see a certain style of text, I would know immediately, okay, this is from Gordon's perspective, or this is from Batman's perspective, or things like that. And I loved kind of getting the interplay between those characters. You also, as you get further into it, you also get into Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman, and things like that. And I really liked getting to see the dynamic between all of these different perspectives. It swaps between them frequently, but it does so in a very interesting way that really helps to both progress the story very well, and also just kind of has a nice flow to it as well. And I really liked just getting to jump into all these different characters' heads, and to me it was very much written in a way that felt very authentic to these characters. Of course, Frank Miller is one of the big Batman writers, at least as far as the ones that I've heard of, so that is not very surprising. I also like the way that this approached like the origin of Batman. This isn't like the literal origin in terms of like, going all over, his parents' death and all this stuff, although that does play into it and it does appear. But it very much is like the origin of, Bruce Wayne deciding that he's going to be Batman, the origin of Jim Gordon's big early relationship with him, the origin of like Catwoman, things like that. Like there's a lot of things about this that like showing the beginnings of all of these characters and their relationships with each other is done very, very well. And when I was like looking into this graphic novel to kind of get a little bit of a sense of what it was about, it really seemed like it was very much like trying to be like the origin story for Batman and all the characters around him, and I very much got that impression from this graphic novel. Does a very good job of weaving all those characters and their stories together in a way that feels natural, in a way that is interesting to see them play off of each other, and in a way that makes for a pretty interesting and compelling story, and one that I really enjoyed, and kind of made me more interested in some of these characters. Like I've always been attached to Batman, I've always enjoyed Batman, but it got me really interested in even like Gordon, who is a character I've always enjoyed, but this graphic novel really kind of made me very interested in his story specifically in this graphic novel and things of that nature. So really enjoyed that about it as well. And that really is most of what I have to say about this graphic novel. Is I enjoyed it. I think it was a really good character work. That is probably the best thing about this graphic novel to me, is it just has some really good character work. I love the way that it bounced between the different perspectives, portrayed the different perspectives, told an interesting story about how all of these different characters' kind of origins kind of meld together into one story, and just did it very, very well. I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Yeah, that pretty much is all I've got to say about it. As far as a rating out of 10, I would give this thing, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. I don't think it was like top tier, like best thing I've ever read or something, but for what it was really enjoyable. It was a really good graphic novel, and definitely has me excited to read some more. So if you have any other recommendations for good Batman comics or graphic novels that I should check out, I already have my eye on several of them, but if you have any particular recommendations, leave them in the comments. Or for any other superheroes that you think I should check out, I'll probably check out some Spider-Man, maybe some Iron Man, maybe some X-Men, whatever, I don't know. We'll see, but if you have any recommendations, leave them down in the comments, and I would definitely be interested in looking into them. So if you've read this before, let me know what you thought of it, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't, if you think it's a good origin story for Batman, any of that kind of stuff, let me know down in the comments. So that is pretty much it for this one. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.